I did not have very high expectations after the January that we had earlier this year. But along the way, I definitely had a lot of surprises, especially movies I didn't think would be for me, and movies that I was surprised by how much I really disliked them. So starting off with my disappointing movies, going off from 5 being not so disappointed and 1 being the most disappointed of this entire year. Number 5 is The Conjuring: The Last Rites. Now this is the newest in the Conjuring universe of Ed and Lorraine's last case. And I don't have very high expectations for this. And I don't think it's like the most terrible movie out there, but I expected more from this movie than I got. It was an uneven balance of the stories, the haunting, and the character exploration. And I wanted more of the actual haunting, more of the character. I did enjoy the characters' story they did, but it just didn't feel like an even balance. And I left the theater thinking this movie is okay, but I expected a little bit more just out of the Conjuring movie, even though I know it was directed for the third one, but I expect a little bit more of the Conjuring. And number 4, Fear Street Prom Queen. Now this, I had to literally look up the plot for this movie because I can remember the movie, but I couldn't tell you the plot. But it is about the prom court getting killed off. This movie, I was a fan of the Fear Street trilogy, part 1, part 2, and part 3. So I was very excited and very looking forward to the next part. But this movie was extremely generic. I did not hate the plot twist of the family. It's generic, yes, but I didn't really hate that. But I was just surprised by the downgrade of the 3 parts. Even the lowest, my least favorite, I want to say probably part 1, at least my own opinion of the original trilogy. I was just very disappointed by how generic the story went. And they could have done a lot better, but it was just a very generic, very forgettable movie that I expected a lot more from, just being a fan of the original 3. And number 3, Hell House LLC Lineage. Now this is about a character who is trying to connect her connections to the manor from the last movie. And I'm very picky about found footage, but I do like the Hell House LLC movies. And did I expect this movie to be perfect? No. But if you didn't watch any of the movies, or if you didn't watch them back to back, you will be so confused and have absolutely no idea what's going on in the movie. Now, I really binge watched the entire franchise of the movies leading up, so I could understand a little bit of what was going on with given the context of watching all the movies, but you need to know the lore to actually understand what's going on in this movie. Now, knowing the lore, they do a lot. They try to put a lot in this movie besides just knowing the lore. And this is the last movie of the Hell House LLC franchise, and I am so disappointed because the worst part of it was the characters are fine. There's not as terrible reporting characters as Jessica Fox, who was annoying in my opinion. But the thing was, the ending is really what disappointed me, because they ended with one of the characters from the first movie of Hell House LLC. And I did in my video when I was talking about it, a whole info dump of the movies. I can't even remember the entire thing, but what I said, because this was so long and there's so much there, but it just did not make any sense. And I just hated they ended on that note. And I don't know what they were going for, because I know they connected dots earlier, just did not work. It's not a good movie. It's just the worst of the franchise, unfortunately. And for the being the last one, as a fan of the franchise personally, extremely disappointing. Number 2, I have Him. Now this is about a football star who goes to train to get better. And look, I was actually very much looking forward to this movie. I'm like, oh, what's this gonna be about? I didn't know anything. So when I went to see it, first of all, I'm not a football fan. I don't really care for the sport in general. I don't like watching it. And this movie is visuals and football. And when you're not a really big fan of football, which is the majority of what this is, to be completely honest, and what they're going for, they go surface level with messaging of trying to be the greatest, and it's very surface level what they go for anyways. And it definitely took me out. The visuals, They aren't terrible, but I don't really care for football. So put that combination together. Maybe football fans feel different about it, but me, I didn't care for it. And the ending, it hit very on the nose looking back on it. But my number one is Bone Lake. Bone Lake tells the story of a couple who goes up to an Airbnb only to find out they are sharing it with another couple. And look, I did not expect to really hate this movie as much as I do. And I have a few problems with this movie. When you first watch, you could think, oh, that's not terrible. Oh, okay. My issues with this movie range from the first scene we get. You have a really terrible opening. You get a visual of someone running naked in the woods. No, that has nothing to do with the plot of what eventually happens on in the movie. You then get the character of the boyfriend of the girl saying, what do you think of my writing? So he writes that book. You then get terrible dialogue up to they get the Airbnb and find out they're sharing it with Sage. I cannot remember her boyfriend's name. And eventually they convince to stay. Now this whole time they're kind of messing, Sage and her boyfriend are kind of messing with the other couple. And at one point the boyfriend literally finds out that this man is going to propose to his girlfriend. So he steals his ring, and you may be asking, no, he does not leave. He doesn't handle it. He sees him propose in front of him. He pulls him aside, and he's like, me and Sage are having problems, and I'll give you the ring back. And this man agrees and then stays. He doesn't demand his ring back. He doesn't leave right after. Continuing with them messing with each other. It then gets revealed that they are siblings, they own the place, and they are testing the relationship. And then you get to the third act, which is definitely just conveniences of literally, I'm trying to, her name, main girl that we follow, she literally has a chance to have like a gun or a knife in her hand, and what she doesn't take it, and then she just runs away. The boyfriend has Sage down, and what does he do instead of make sure he got her down? He just runs away to find her, and it's just added extra minutes onto it. And I don't even like the couple shouldn't be together. I think that's highlighted in the movie, I get it, but it's not great. And the acting performances aren't even terrible, okay? That's not the problem. The movie is that problem, what I just laid out, and that's why I don't like it, and that's the problems that I saw while watching it. Then you of course get some tropes, which is annoying too, but I'm not a fan of this one. And when I left, I was not expected to dislike this movie as much as I disliked this movie. And at the very end, my man, after I said the first one, right, he wrote this book on what he thought. Well, apparently he's like, well, I should write a book about this experience. Then he wrote about this book experience with the first scene. That is just so, that's a tiny thing, but like I noticed on the chair on top, I'm like, oh, what is the point of the first scene then? Was that just and I'm not rude, but I'm like, oh, okay. They didn't even put it into the first part, which is that they've been doing this for couples before, which is, and I'm very, still mixed on the fact they're siblings. Now, going away from negative, let's talk about some positive. My top surprising films this year. At number 5, I have Clown in a Cornfield. Now, this is a story about a girl who moves to a small town only to find out something sinister is going on. And yes, I know this movie is generic, and yes, I know there are tropes in this movie. However, I found myself not thinking, it's fine, I left it. I rewatched it because it was free for streaming one day and I couldn't find anything else to watch, so I watched it. And I liked it more than I did the first watch. It's not perfect. Yes, there are stereotypes. Yes, there are tropes. Does the ending with the town of the old people land fully? No. But the movie is fine. It's okay. I like it more than I thought I would. And of the generic kind of, I would loop it in with some other stuff like Hard Eyes, Until Dawn, more movies like that. This is probably my favorite of those general type of movies of this year. I hope that makes sense. And I was surprised by how positively I look back on it. And number 4, I have Primitive War. Now this is basically a dinosaur movie with meets war. And I'm not really a big fan of war movies. And this movie surprisingly entertained me. The dinosaurs were okay. They're fine. They're CGI here, that's okay. Not the greatest in the world, but the story I actually got into a little bit. Now, this isn't my favorite. I think it's fine. but I was surprised by how it engaged me for this really generally not being my type of movie. Would I watch it again? Probably no. But if you were to tell me what this is about, you want to watch it, I would say no. But watching it, I was actually kind of surprised by how much I actually liked it with the story and kept me entertained all the way through, even though it not being my favorite type of movie in general with war out there. And they are definitely war characters, stereotypes. My family likes war movies, so at least half my family does. So that's there, but I didn't mind it and I actually kind of liked it. My favorite, would I watch it? No, but didn't mind it. Number 3, Dangerous Animals. Now this is a basically true crime kind of kidnapper story with sharks. And in general, this would be up my alley and I expected to kind of like it, but I really was surprised at how much I liked it. I liked the way they use sharks so little. I like the cast. I like the story. I like basically how, I haven't seen a good shark movie in a minute, even though I don't watch many of them, to be honest, take it out with a grain of salt. I was surprised by how much I liked this, and I was surprised by how much it kind of stood with me when being a really solid movie. The only thing I would change about it, even with how much I do like it, is I would make them like old friends. It'd make it platonic instead of relationship, which I thought gets part of it. It works if they were platonic. Pretty solid, it up my alley, but I expected to be pretty solid, but I'm like, this is really solid. I would like this movie. And I even like the lead, pretty solid. Number 2, Presence. Now, Presence is a story about a family who moves into a house after a disaster. And this is more of a family drama than it is horror, if I'm going to be completely honest here. But this in general is not my favorite type of movie, but this movie has stayed with me. Now, this is a ghost story, a very unique ghost story on its own. And the way they tell the story of the brother and his conflicting feelings of what happens. Now, I do run into a little bit of logistics when it comes to like how he came to life to do it, but that's its own thing. But I like the unique tale. It stays with me, and even though it can be a bit slow paced at times, I do like it. I can see how some people don't, but to me, because I'm not a fan of Black Coat's Daughter, it feels a little slow for me, so I generally had a good time with this, and it stays with me. I love unique ghost stories, and this one definitely took me by surprise by how much it stayed and how high I think it put on my list to surprise me. I'm like, Presence really stayed with me throughout this entire year. And number 1, my most surprising pick, The Ugly Stepsister. Now, this is the un-Disney version of Cinderella. And part of this is general, like, oh, I want to check this out. Because one of my movie I like is Sleeping Beauty type of horror take. But this movie surprised me by a lot. It's not an American movie. I can't remember where it's originated from. I'm sorry, my memory. But I really enjoyed this one. The story is great. I like how they don't make all the characters the villain. They each have their own reason to how they act. I like how Cinderella's portrayed. I like how everyone's portrayed. The acting is good. There are some visuals there, like one after she caught Cinderella not being so innocent with someone. There's one visual that I'm like, But other than that, I was surprised by this movie. And it is one that initially I would think would be solid, but the performances, the movie, the plot, the way it ends too, and the gore and visuals, they do, in the Grimm's Brothers tale, they do, the stepsister chops her foot off, or part of her foot off, fit in tail, they do show that. But the one scene that really does kind of get to me is like one of the beauty transformations to make her more beautiful. That scene, that one did get to me. Just how that was portrayed, dude, that one got to me. Yeah, a pretty solid movie, great characters, great acting. I like the ending, and just a phenomenal movie to surprise me by the end of the year for. Now, this is my top surprising and disappointing movies. Comment down below what movies disappointed you or surprised you this year, and I will see you guys soon, because up next, I believe I have my top 10 and best of this year. And because I'm recording on my phone, I will be doing on my channel post a list of all 40 horror movies that I saw this year of where everything ranks. I'll see you guys soon.